Good day, and surely it is a good day, for it is Wednesday, my dudes. We're going to do something a little bit different today. So I saw, as I logged into Magic Arena this morning, these little Challenger Showcase things. So I am going to do a little Challenger deck review thing. So you should, this video should contain about 1 or 2 little matches with each deck. And I'll give you a rough overview at the end. And obviously, I would be amiss if I didn't do a little plug in here at some point. So obviously, these are all standard decks. These Challenger decks are all available from Athena Games, which is the store that I do work at. So we also have standard events every Wednesday. So that is that plug done and out of the way. Into the games. I haven't actually put much effort into looking at these decks. I clicked the first one, it's blue-black control, and this is a hand with blue and black control cards. So I shall be keeping this hand. Looks like I'm going second. This Dry Disruption is likely to want to be a land. So that I've got my 3 lands, so I can cast my Saw It Coming. We're going to foretell with this on turn 2. We've got a whole Storm Giants and foretell this, and then we'll have more options on turn 3. Opponent's playing the mono white deck. Okay, for the opponent there. The thing of land is quite unfortunate because I can't play this Hall of Storm Giants untapped without losing Hero's Downfall the following turn. So I'm going to have to play a Storm here and foretell this. I think having this Hero's Downfall up next turn for stuff like this Clarion Square is really important. I think they don't have anything got. This is probably one of the best ones to start turn here. I think this deck does have some copies of Blood in the Snow, but that is not going to be quick enough for this. Tap land, thank you so much. I think I need to play a Graveyard Trespasser. Kind of stops these 2. And there is the potential of gaining life as well. So from next turn I can hold up any of these 3 if I'm not just dead. Attack with this, but it's not going to achieve anything, so I'm just going to not. Glutton is a 4/4 in their turn, which is really good for me. Because it means I can take 3. Right. So I am. So I'm going to attack with this here. Here's my line of thinking. I'm going to attack, gain 2 life, go to 6, and they can attack me for 3 and put me to 3. Or I can not attack. They hit me with this, and I go to 3. So it achieves the same thing, but deals 4 damage to that. And now, of course, I get to hold up all of my disruption. Best case scenario, I'd like to Memory Deluge on this turn, but it depends on what my opponent gives me to do. Dragon Spirit. Sure. So if they do have a spell, they get to spell a really good one as well. I think I'm going to have to let Stone Fable solve, because they can't pay for one on this, so they can't actually exile those. Might be what they are working through now. Are we going to go to 3? Oh, they're not even going to attack us. I'm going to memory days. Really want to find blood and snow. Perfect. And an untap land. Cool. So that was kind of the best case scenario. I am going to attack because it gets a life. Block for some reason. Destroy all creatures. Play with cool. Perfect. That's basically how control decks are meant to feel. Just like quick and easy, get in, get out. Well, I guess not quick and easy, but disrupt the game plan early, and then build to a board position. Alright then, up next is the Gruul Stompy deck. So the aim of this one is to try and get green and red creatures in play as fast as possible, so we can try and punch our opponent through their face. So this is going to go a little bit bigger than the mono white deck that we just played against, and probably a little bit, there's a lot less synergy than with some of the other decks, like the Vampires. This hand's pretty good. We get to do the Jaspara Sentinel Magda trick, which is quite nice. We've got a Snakeskin Veil for protection, a good play on turn 1 and turn 2. We don't have the red source to get at the Magda straight away, but Jaspara Sentinel is going to help with that. My opponent's playing the Vampires deck, which is kind of nice. Kind of means that we get to see all four decks kind of show what they kind of do. Yeah, I'm going to play all 4 of them. I think Vampires the last. So I'll take a nice 5 colours. We're just going to carry on with our game plan. Get this down. It's more valuable to have it as a blocker for this. And we'll kind of want to hold up the Snakeskin Veil as well. Might not be super correct, but I do want to get Magda down. I did miss out on it. Okay. So I am going to burn my Snakeskin Veils to make them not take my Magda. Also lets me have a good block for this Voldaren. That's defend the range class down. Don't badly need to level these, so I'm just going to hold all this stuff up as blockers. 2 blockers against a menace creature is nice. And double blocking the 3/3 is good. I'm surprised if they attack against me. Leave the 3/3 alive, I'll double block this 2/2. Don't need to burn a Snakeskin Veil to help one of them. This is the Magda trick that I was talking about earlier, so basically we can tap Jaspara Sentinel for mana, tap a Magda, and Magda will give us a treasure, and then we don't have that. So we are going to do the same thing again. Now, we leave this wolf up. Net 1 treasure, take the Ultimate Dragon as well. tokens. Gets us some mana. We only have this 2/2 left back now, but we don't have a massive board. Our board is likely only to get bigger from here with the potential draws that we can get. This is also pretty big. Obviously they don't have to sacrifice the blood tokens until the ability finishes resolving, so this isn't going to destroy them too much. And even then we've used one of their creatures died, and they've used a removal spell from their hand to put the dragons to get 6 treasures as well. Oh, well, 3 treasures, it was 6 mana's worth of treasure, sorry. Take another 3. So with that sequence we can now fully level one of my ranger classes. It's going to give us a mini great, kind of nice. I am going to attack with this Magda here. Get a little bit bigger. Just because I'm not going to want to use that for blocking this dominating vampire. Chop block with that. Unless they've got a gem. Oh, village rights, very nice. So if they've had village rights all this time actually, I was right to save them from stealing Magda earlier because they'd have attacked with it. Got an attack, which would have let her make a treasure so they could have village rights her off, which would have been terrible. I'm going to use this upgrade now to get rid of this. Not actually, because they can just save it, can't they? See if we can wait to get them in combat. I'm going to level up the Rangers class Magda again. That's going to make her a what's that? A 5, 6, 5. So what I want them to do here is block with the Predator and sacrifice the dominating vampire to give the Predator indestructible, or just block with the dominating vampire and let combat resolve. So then they won't have a creature to sacrifice to protect this Predator. Or they can do it this way. They're going to sacrifice a thing now, and in response to this ability, so before they actually get the buff, it's going to melt it. Perfect. See, that's kind of what the green red aggro deck wants to do. You want to get like small little creatures early, flood the board, and then build up to massive threats later on. So that is the green red aggro deck. Alright, third up we have the mono white aggro deck that our opponent was playing in our first game. They had a pretty good draw. Let's hope we can have another good draw. Hopefully we don't run into the blue black control deck, because that's got board sweepers, which is going to cause an issue. It is the blue black control deck, that's a shame. We do have a relatively good curve here. We've got Redain, which is going to tax their board clear, which is nice. We've got a Faceless Haven as well. Our opponent in their first round didn't draw the Faceless Haven, so that is that is going to be good. I'm actually going to, it's a slightly weird one. I'm not going to play my 1-drop on turn 1 here. What I want to do to get full advantage out of my double spell theme, I'm going to play a Clarence do it this time. Hopefully they don't have a disruption, perfect. And next turn I'm going to play a Luminarch and the Cleric. That was actually also wrong. I should have led the Luminarch Aspirant there to get it in play for another turn, to get it another counter, and then the following turn should have been Clarion Spirit and the Cleric. That wasn't quite right. I'm going to get my Monk down first, I think. Then the Aspirant. I do want to get Aspirant down relatively early. Next turn I can play the Redain and the Cleric if I make a land drop. If not, this is just going to sit here until I make another land drop, so I can play them at the same time. Thing, it's fine. So this is what happens quite a lot if you are playing the aggro deck and you run into a control deck. They are just going to try and remove all your threats from the board as they arrive. Try and keep gaining card advantage, that kind of thing. And Spellbind's a pretty good draw then. Let's see what's up. Potentially take a Wrath if they have one. Yikes. I think I'm going to take their removal spell because it's the only thing in their hand that sort of seems different. Taking the Memory Deluge makes some amount of sense, although if we exile it with Spellbinder, because the cards they look at is dependent on how much they cost, the spell costs, they are going to look at 2 extra cards there. So they did draw land, so they're holding up 2 counter spells and the Memory Deluge. So there's a good chance whatever I play this turn gets countered, unless it's a Skyclave Apparition. They'll probably value the casting the Memory Deluge over the Dwari Disruption. So they will probably let this survive and go through. So that works out pretty well for me actually, because that keeps them off the Memory Deluge for a turn, and we get to get in 5. So we're at a similar position this turn, except now they've got a 3 mana counter spell on the Memory Deluge, so we're going to play a spell they really want to counter, again to take them off Deluge for a turn. So we're going to get the red 8 down. Redain does have the same problem as taking it with the Spellbinder, that they will get to see an extra 2 cards from the Memory Deluge. Again. Notably this, while this Kabira take down more than another land, it's not another snow land, so we don't have Faceless Haven active yet. This is kind of the game plan you want to try and go for if you're playing the mono white deck. It's a little bit slower, but you're more likely to win the game in the end. So this turn is kind of an interesting one. We know they've got a Baleful Mastery and a Memory Deluge. Again, I really want to keep them off the Memory Deluge, so I'm going to leave with the Intrepid Adversary. They can cast the Baleful Mastery again, they can pay the full cost for this one as well. I am going to kick this up once if they let me. Yep. So it's going to give all my creatures +1/+1. They are very likely to Baleful Mastery this, but that does again keep them on this for a turn. And we get notably this puts them to 4, so they are both dead to my creatures in play and dead to my Faceless Haven if I draw another play, if I draw another Snowland. Okay, so Field of Ruin checks my Faceless Haven. All the Storm Giants checks my Monk. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play Usher and a Cleric. I'm going to try and get another counter, or a counter on the Solid Spellbinder, so that we can get through, assuming they don't have a removal spell. So that kind of highlights the game plan of the white deck. Get creatures down early, trying to fight through removal spells with disruptive elements like Redain and the what's his name? Redain and the Spellbinder. And you want to try and keep them off of their key turns. So like I was doing, I was keeping them so they had to play their removal spells instead of playing the Memory Deluge to find more answers. Alright, last up we have Rakdos Vampires. This is like a high synergy aggro deck. This is sort of the outlier from the ones that they submitted as challenge decks this year. Although I've not been playing enough standard to know what a more appropriate one would have been. But we've got Rakdos Vampires. This hand is okay actually. Obviously it's missing more land drops, but we only have 1 2-mana spells in hand. And we are on the draw as well, so my game plan for this hand is going to be to get the Socialite down on turn 2. I'm going to leave Bloodfell Caves and Stone of the Bugbear, and then hopefully this can connect. We are playing the mono white deck. Hopefully this can connect so we can start making our things bigger. these Vault Surges against the mono white are also going to be quite valuable because a lot of their creatures are going to get killed by this. Gold, JK, they play Rosalia. So not blocking that one. That's not really a problem because we can get another Ordained. We've got Menace. And this is going to make Vampires. We want to try and get a Vampire down here. What does this do? Combat in turn, repay one second. So this is for the blood token synergy that the deck kind of has going. This guy's going to let us turn blood into 3/1s. Just from immediately looking at what this is doing, I'd say this is probably the weaker of the 4 that I've seen. Because they're kind of doing two different game plans almost. With the vampire theme on the socialite and the weird artifact sub theme as well. You saw one of our opponents also was playing the deck also playing village rights, which one of our opponents cast against us. We do get to keep this construct token though, so this is an attack for 5. So it's not bad. I do like the synergy with the blood tokens and the artifact stuff from Kamigawa. It's just maybe not what I would have chosen if I was personally building decks. We've got a work cut out for us in this game, I think. I'm going to take my 5, but I'm going to chump block with this. Thalia. Let's do another land though. Take the advantage for the Thalia now. Don't want to sacrifice. So now we've got 2 more shocks. I'm going to wait until their turn. I'm actually not going to attack with anything this turn. So what I can do, I can use sacrifice this construct token to deal 4 to this Redain, and I've got another Vault Surge to kill the Clarion Spirit. So these Vault Surges are actually proving pretty good. It is unfortunate that I don't have a spare blood token laying around. That's kind of gonna go. Cool. So with the counter going on the Redain, actually just going to Infernal Grasp the Redain, I think. This construct can trade with the Faceless Haven, no problem. I don't mind trading this guy for a Clarion Spirit if I need to. Yep, not a problem. Save my life total a little bit, take the 1, go to 7. I think we are in a little bit of a better position here. Oh my god, that Village Right was a fantastic draw. That's going to take Luminarch after him. That's really unfortunate. So that actually, the Dominating Vampire is dependent on the number of vampires we control. Because of this, we no longer have enough vampires. That is fine, I'm just going to kill it. They got no cards in hand, we're at 7. I'm going to start attacking here. I think our creature quality is likely to be a little bit higher than their creature. Of course we get punished because they just got killed. Start with sacrificing. See if we draw anything useful. Not useless. Blood tokens we can loot away like a land. If we draw another land, we can just cycle it away. Probably going to aim as well Surge at Skyclave Apparition unless they want to trade. Shoot this. Okay. I've got 2 power, we've now got 5 power. And we've got Flora as well. Flora is fantastic. also got First Strike defending against this monk, which is very, very nice. It's actually been a very, very close game. I have drawn out of it more than my opponent has, which is good for me. Oh my god, this card's amazing. I'm going to take this one. This is going to let us ping them for 1 and turn off blood token and do a little run-on. Feel like getting life. Once again. Okay, so that was Vampires. I am happier with the little artifact sub-theme than I thought I was going to be at the start of the game. Obviously you heard me have my reservations about the whole artifact sub-theme, but I like how it plays in with the blood tokens. Yeah, I still think it's the weakest of the 4, but I'm not mad about it. Alright then, just to wrap the video off, how would I rate these decks in terms of power level? And honestly, I think they are basically in the right order. The blue-black control deck felt very strong. It's got all the right stuff in it. The list actually has 4 copies of Memory Deluge in it. Hullbreaker Horror, which we didn't even see. Blood in the Snow. Crippling Fear. So this is very well built, especially with 2 copies of Parasitic Grasp in it as well. It's very well built to take on the other decks in the little rotation. We were actually unlucky with how we drew with this deck, which is kind of funny. You also obviously get a full sideboard when you when you're buying the deck in paper as well. I'd say the blue-black control deck is probably at the higher end. This one felt strong. It's got a couple of mediocre card choices, like Light Up the Night isn't particularly good. Only 1 copy of Goldspan Dragon, obviously, because Goldspan Dragons is an expensive card in paper, so they don't actually want to give you too many of them. But apart from that, this felt like a very solid little aggro deck. The mono white deck is probably the most polished of the decks, even if it's not the most powerful. It's got basically all the stuff that you'd want in a mono white aggro deck. Obviously, the main upgrade is more copies of Intrepid Adversary, but they're not that expensive in paper at the moment. Obviously, the arena economy, everything means nothing. But yeah, I really like this deck. It's just mono white probably isn't as powerful as these 2 as archetypes, so it's probably why I ranked it 3rd. And the Vampires was the weakest one, just because I felt like this deck was trying to do one too many things. Like, you got the Village Rights element, only 1 Village Rights though. Sorry. The Village Rights element with the Dominating Vampire was cute if you get it to pull it off. The Only Cult Anvil is cute with all of and the Smelter is cute with the cute interaction with the blood tokens, which I did like. That was kind of nice. I think if you were to pick up this deck in paper, I think I'd probably want to focus on a theme rather than trying to do 2 things. So you've got, I like focusing on the blood tokens and the anvil stuff. So that does mean like cutting stuff like the Socialite, maybe Flora and the Dominating Vampire, focusing on Vildaran Bloodcaster and Epicure, and potentially adding a couple copies of Angie as well. She makes blood tokens. So yeah, I like the idea of this deck. I just think they just missed the mark a little bit when they were building the actual deck. So that is the conclusion of the video. Thank you all very much for watching. Like I mentioned at the start, these are all challenge decks that you can buy in paper. They're available from, I'm assuming, every local game store. My personal favourite, the one I work at, is Athena Games in Norwich. So they also host standard events every single Wednesday, which happens to be today. Thank you for joining me today. Stay tuned for more content in the relatively nearish future, maybe.